It is a great honor that the ASRCC presents Mr. Xtreme and the Xtreme Justice League with the 2001 Honorary Speaker Award. Thank you. And the award is for community service and social awareness above and beyond the call of duty. So now we're going to go ahead and open it up to question and answers. And this is our question and answer mic right here in the middle with Richard. Can you raise your hand, Richard? So if you guys have any questions, just feel free to go ahead and line up. These guys are open books. I've had great conversations with them in like the last 20 minutes. So they have a lot of information to give out.
If there's questions, please go 3 people at a time so we don't cause a fire hazard.
So first off, a huge fan of the movie. I'm glad you guys are actually going out there and trying to help out the community. And one of the things you guys talk a lot about is how positive it is to work with the various police forces in the various areas that you work with. But the recent raids that have been happening with the Occupy Wall Street movements in all the other cities have shown a lot of corruption that's possible in the police departments. So what I'm trying to get at is, how do you guys actually help counter that corruption or to work against it and still be able to work with the police to help solving your crimes?
Well, with that, it's for us to try to be neutral. We don't get involved in movements that are very overly political. Us trying to protect people and stop violent crime. I think everybody can relate to that. So that's why you don't see us, we're not going to get involved with controversial issues like immigration or abortion or gun control or stuff like that. We ourselves take a neutral stance. Obviously if we see something like that's happening, like obviously we saw like a police officer trying to get out of line, and then, of course we'll step in and get involved. But I think so far for us, we have enough support with the police, and we also have plenty enough support with the community. It's not really much of a problem, and at least not yet. So for us, just get out there and just do our thing.
Could you clarify what you mean by neutrality? Because just from the way I interpreted what you were saying, certain issues didn't seem that you had a neutral position on it, so I'm just trying to see what you're trying to explain.
Okay, which issues were you referring to?
I wasn't referring to any specific ones. I was just explaining that with the recent raids that have been happening on various protesting parties, that they were still in compliance with certain civil liberties, and that the police violated those in very physical terms, violent crimes.
Right.
So how would you counter that corruption in the department?
Well, for us, just to do what we're doing and do it right, by not violating people's rights when we're dealing with people. Like if we ever have to use force, or by never violating anybody's civil rights, at least within our team. I can't speak for this police department or that police department or that police officer. That's on them. That's on them and their department. That's not on us. So as long as we just do our jobs, that's how we can pretty much stand apart.
All right, thank you.
Could I add to that?
What's that?
Could I add to that?
Yes.
Okay. Thank you for bringing that up. I have, like you said, we haven't really been getting involved in the Occupy protests ourselves, but I've been keeping up to date with people who have been getting involved in New York and Oakland, where it's been really bad, especially in Oakland. A friend of ours was actually recently arrested, a fellow ROSH. He was charged with resisting arrest and assault. And he just got released on bail, but the cops beat him up pretty bad. He had to have stitches and everything. And basically, the only advice I can offer based on other people's experience who I've also worked with, and that is, if you're going to go to an Occupy camp, the best thing you can do is try and just be a peacekeeper. Make sure no one gets riled up or violent or aggravated, because the second anyone starts getting emotional, everyone else sort of develops a mob mentality and they also start getting emotional. And the cops might see that as a form of violence and take cautious action because they're ultimately, I know they're just trying to watch out for themselves, but I am aware of some of the corruption. If you follow me on Twitter, UA_RLSH, sorry for the shameless plug, I recently tweeted about a video of an Oakland PD officer who had his name badge covered up with tape. And somebody on camera, they showed it right in his face and shoved the camera right in his face and they asked him, why do you have your name covered up? Isn't that against department policy? And it's actually illegal for a police officer to try to obscure their identity or hide themselves, from the public. And he went up to his commanding officer and made a point of it. Why is this guy covering up his name badge? And his commanding officer went over to him and like, what's going on with this? And ripped the name off, and you could see his name right there. And if you want to try and help defend against police corruption, your best weapon is a video camera. If you're going to go to Occupy and try and help fish out these corrupt cops, because there are some, I'm not saying all police forces and all police officers are corrupt. We have a very good relationship with our police officers, and we're not aware of any sort of corruption in our departments. But a video camera is probably the best weapon you can have against corrupt police officers.
And also, if you film it on with a video camera, like anything like that, make sure you contact your local news station. That way we can fish out the people within the bad apples that need to be fished out within those police departments.
What about prevention in the long term? Because a lot of times in those events, you're only limiting it to a certain event at a certain time with a certain movement. What about altogether?
Prevention in the long term? Well, as far as prevention of police corruption, that's really not our job, is to determine, okay, well, obviously if we see police corruption happening out there, then yeah, we'll videotape it and let people know let the news know what's going on. But that's up to the police management. All we can just worry about is preventing corruption and misconduct within our group. We're not police officers, and we're not part of the police. I just want to let people be clear, let people know that what the police does, that's kind of what they do. That's on them. We can just worry about what our group does.
So, just what I'm wondering is, in the movie there was a lot of discussion about how, from what I remember, a lot of you guys starting this movement because of what the police couldn't do.
Right.
So how does that correlate, or how does that combine with your current statements right now about just letting the police be the police?
Can I answer this?
Yeah.
Can you hear me?
Yeah, I can hear you.
Okay. One of the things that we try to do is we try to empower everyone. It's not just the people in costumes. It's not just the police officers. Hey, there we go. Can you hear me now?
Well, no microphone, but I can still hear you.
Weird.
Okay. Anyway, there it goes. Okay, we try to empower everyone. It's not just the people in costumes, it's not just the cops. We want everyone to be aware of the situation that's going on around them, and we want them to try to help however they can. In the future, I know all of us envision having not just costume people, but everyone aware of the situation that's going on. And if everyone was watching out for their neighbor's back and the guy on the corner's back, and they're people that they don't even know, there wouldn't be as many problems as there is now. And yes, there still will be some. There's no way that we're going to, eliminate every problem that's out there. But if you get everyone empowered to be willing to step out of their comfort zone and help somebody else, there's no real way that as much of the problems that we see will continue to happen. And so that's what we're really trying to do, is not just patrol the streets on our own, because we can only be at one place at one time. But if you've got a whole community or a whole city or a whole county to be willing to go out there and make a difference, you wouldn't even recognize the area as opposed to the way it is now.